Welcome aboard the Men Express. My name is Deirdre. I am so excited to be here with you today. This is the first of several mini sessions that the Mentoring and Induction for Novice Teachers program will provide for our new teachers. So let's get started. We know that one of the classroom teacher's most important jobs is managing the classroom effectively. When reviewing research of all the variables identified, classroom management had the largest effect on student achievement. This makes intuitive sense because students can't learn in a chaotic, poorly managed classroom. Our goal today is to identify strategies for establishing clear expectations. If you don't have a plan, you are planning to fail. Quote by Harry Wong. The most successful classes are those in which the teacher has a clear idea of what is expected of the students and the students have a clear idea of what is expected of them. In other words, know what you want students to look and sound like during learning activities and transitions, and conversely, make sure students know how they are expected to look and sound during these activities. So, how do we do that? We establish expectations for student behavior through rules and procedures. This is crucial to effective classroom management, which in turn is essential for the classroom to function successfully. Procedures have to do with how things get done. They usually do not have penalties or rewards. Let's take a moment to look at some sample procedures. How to enter and exit the classroom. Where to find the assignments. How assignments are completed and turned in. What to do when the bell rings. What to do when you finish your work early. What to do when you need to leave the room. All of these are examples of procedures. It is important that you define clear and consistent behavioral expectations for the activities and transitions that occur during a typical school day. So let's look at the difference between activities and transitions. Activities are the instructional sessions in your classroom. Transitions occur within and between those activities. Examples of activities might be teacher-directed instruction, independent seat work, or cooperative groups. Examples of transitions might be arriving at the classroom, beginning class routines, getting out necessary materials, changes in location, putting things away, cleaning up, leaving the classroom, as well as school-wide settings such as halls, cafeterias, playgrounds, bus areas, assemblies, and so on. In addition to clearly defining expectations, it's equally important that expectations for classroom procedures are explicitly taught. There are 3 steps to teaching procedures: explain, rehearse, and reinforce. When you explain a procedure, you state the procedure, you clarify the procedure, and you demonstrate the procedure. These stated procedures should be accompanied by either written or pictorial representations for students to refer to. When you rehearse the procedure, you practice the procedure step by step. And when you reinforce the procedure, you monitor it, reteach it, rehearse it, practice it, and reinforce it until it becomes a routine. In other words, it's automatic. They are done without prompting or supervision. Keep in mind that when you monitor, you should provide the students with feedback on how well they are meeting the expectations. Let's look at an example of procedures being taught. As you review the video, jot down some of your noticing.
Lining up means that you stand when you hear me say, at this time, it's time to line up. So you would stand. The next thing is you would push in your chair, and you would do that really quietly. Sean, you have your eyes on me. You're paying really close attention. This whole table is doing an excellent job. Then The third thing you need to do is be at voice level 1. That is quiet, no talking. That's exactly right. The next thing is that you would have hands and feet to yourself and that you would face forward. Okay, everybody, eyes up here. The first thing you're going to do is stand. What are you going to do, everybody? Stand, right. In fact, I want you to just stand. Do that right now. Good job. Okay, so you would stand. Excellent following directions. Not only did you stand up the right way, but you pushed in your chairs. Then you're going to keep voice level 1 because we need to be quiet so that you can hear my directions. You need to keep your hands and feet to yourself because that is in being respectful of others. And if we were to line up at this time, you would face forward. You did a nice job of listening as well as following directions. Please sit down. I'm going to show you how to line up the right way. And I want you to check that list and see if I do all 5 of those things the right way. So I'm at my desk and the teacher says, I'd like your attention please. Everyone, please line up. Did I stand? Yes. Push in my chair quietly? Yes. Voice level 1, I have my hands and feet to self, and I'm facing forward. And you know why it's important to face forward? So that I can see if the person in front of me is moving or not moving, because I don't want to step on them. That would not be respectful, and I need to pay close attention. So those are the 5 things that I need to do. Watch real carefully again. Now, I'm going to do something, and you know what? I want you to see which ones I do the wrong way. I don't do it the right way, okay? So you pay real close attention and raise your hand if you find something that I don't do the right way. Byron, what happened?
No, because you made too much noise.
I did. I made too much noise. I didn't push in my chair quietly. And you know what? That wasn't being very responsible, and I wasn't being very respectful of other people by making all that noise. Okay, so I pushed in my chair and I didn't do it the right way. Tara.
No, you are moving all around and you're moving your hands and feet.
Right, I'm not facing forward. Did I keep my hands and feet to myself? No, I didn't have my hands and feet to myself. They were everywhere, so I wasn't going to be very respectful of people, and that's not very responsible. Remember, when you line up, you need to stand, push in your chair quietly, voice level 1, face forward, and hands and feet to self. And in walking, I'm going to keep my feet quiet too. I'm going to walk quietly, and I'm going to make sure that there's a space between me and the person in front of me so that I can be respectful to that person, so that I don't hurt them or I don't get hurt. And I walk carefully so that I get over to where we line up just in front of our door, keeping hands and feet to self, voice level 1, facing forward. I need some people to help me in showing how to line up the right way.
Did you notice that the teacher's expectations were clearly defined? She explained the procedure, she demonstrated the procedure, and the class rehearsed the procedures. Did you also notice that she provided both examples and non-examples of what the procedures look like and sound like? Great. Rules about rules. Now that you have reviewed procedures, let's talk about the rules. Effective rules are observable, stated positively, 3 to 6 in number, posted and visible from any area in the room, and have consequences, both negative and positive. Rules are different from procedures. While procedures tell how students should do things, rules tell students what to do, and they are tied to consistent consequences. Let's look at some sample rules and take a moment to evaluate them against our criteria for rules. Do these rules meet our criteria? Yes, our first criteria are met. They are observable, stated positively, and are 3 to 6 in number. Rules communicate your most important expectations. Guidelines describe the most important traits you want all students to learn to exhibit. Use guidelines for success as the basis for positive feedback, corrections, class-wide discussions, monthly themes, assignments, and celebration of programs. So let's reflect. Did you know that it's never too late to refine and reteach your classroom procedures and rules? When can you refine and or reteach your classroom procedures and rules? Anytime it is necessary, especially when you see that your expectations are not being consistently met by the majority of the students. You can also make revisions after long breaks away from school. There is never a bad time to make changes, as long as your rationale for those changes benefits student outcomes. Speaking of outcomes, in the highly effective category of Section 2C of the CAST evaluation system, it states, instructional time is maximized due to efficient classroom routines and procedures. Students contribute to the management of instructional groups, transitions, and or the handling of materials and supplies. Routines are well understood and may be initiated by students. Hopefully, this segment of the MnExpress will help you move toward this expectation. Let's continue to reflect. As you look at each bullet, think about, does this apply in your classroom? Do I have clear expectations for my students? Do I have procedures for my classroom activities and transitions? Did I teach my procedures? Do my classroom rules meet the criteria for rules about rules? So, what are our next steps? At the end of this session, continue to reflect on how clear your classroom expectations are. The CHAMPS versus Daily Reality rating scale will help you do that. The purpose of this rating scale is to see trends in the CHAMPS implementation for a particular activity or transition in your classroom and to determine what needs encouragement or reteaching. To access the CHAMPS versus Daily Reality rating scale, click the PDF file that is adjacent to the link you clicked to access this session. We have now reached our final destination. Thank you for joining us for this segment of the MnExpress. Look for other segments that will be posted along with this one on the New Teacher website. It's been a pleasure. Have a great day.